There are different types of estimates. At the earlier stages, your requirements for a project may be very vague, in which case you will not go into as much detail. It will be very ballpark figures for this is my allowance for the carpets, or this is my allowance for the brickwork. As the project develops through the life cycle, you'll start to refine it because your requirements on the project will become clearer, and as the estimate goes into more detail, the range of the estimate, or the likelihood that you'll go over budget, is less. At the start, you need to build in what's known as a risk or a contingency to make sure that you don't go over budget. Initially, you can start off with having a rough feasibility, so you will do high-level gross areas per metre squared. So if you have a building footprint, you could say, well, ballpark in this area, the first floor is going to be 100 metres squared of vinyl carpet, and it's just very high level. You're not going to go into the detail of measuring round all the corners and all the doors. Rough gross per metre squared areas, apply rates which you might get in BCIS or other projects you've worked on, and you come up with an initial estimate. So that's the high level measurement. As you go through the job, once the design's a bit more finalised, you'll look at an architect's drawing or an engineer's drawing, and you'll go into a bit more detail. So you'll try and figure out, well, using a carpet as an easy example, you'll try to figure out, well, what's the shape when it goes round the corner of a column, so that when you get the refined measurement, when it's priced up, the overall cost is a lot more accurate, and that develops through into the rest of the project. Initially, you will carry out a high-level estimate before. It's called pre- and post-contract. So contract is when you'll hire a contractor, a building contractor, to work for you. The pre-contract stage is when it's the build-up with working with the client to determine what's their budget, roughly what's the scope of work they need to do, using market rates to come up with the estimate. Then you'll come up with a more refined, detailed bill of quantities or activity schedule that you use to go out to tender, which is going out to market to find a contractor. So once you've got to that stage, you'll award a contractor, and then going forwards, after you won the contract, or once a contractor's on site and working, you will do post-contract measurement, which could be monthly payments to a contractor, where a quantity surveyor or the project manager will go out on site and measure up what they've actually done relative to the agreed bill of quantities. And at the end of the job, you'll do a final measure to what's known as the final account, where it's the final sum due to the contractor. You agree, shake hands, and the job's done. As a quantity surveyor myself, one of the biggest challenges is that the first estimate is always the one the client remembers. So you could have situations where you can have a ballpark figure, the clients could change the requirements or change what they need, but they'll always hold people, or in their mind they will think that if that's going to cost 20 grand or it's going to cost £100,000, that's in their mind, that's what that project is. Another challenge is when clients change their mind. They need to understand that there's a cost. It could be a saving or it could be more, but that's one of the biggest barriers, is just managing expectations. One of the biggest things, BIM, which is building information modelling. There's other aspects to BIM, and it's not just a 3D model of a construction job, it's also a process. But from an estimating and measurement perspective, the quantities, because it's all driven through effectively a sophisticated CAD model, you can take off quantities and actually it can generate a lot of the quantities for you. So in terms of also visualising what you're building, sometimes it's difficult with traditional 2D or flat drawings to really understand what's been built, because a lot of individuals like myself are very visual. So having something like BIM will help me understand the shape and what the building looks like.